In this episode of the House of Lechmere, we're going to take a look at what Whitechapel is like on Halloween. I'm expecting it to be very busy, with lots of people out to make as much money as possible from the Jack the Ripper mystery. And I've got with me Jamie Boyle.
Yeah, we were here last year, and as you just said, it was literally like, I mean, we went everywhere, and like walking up Brick Lane, it was like a football match had just finished. Yeah. I've never seen anything like it. It was really like, as I said to you before, one of my friends said, you've never celebrated St. Patrick's Day unless you go to New York, but I think you've never really done Halloween until you come to Whitechapel on Halloween.
Yeah, so it will probably be packed, and that is the interesting phenomenon of Jack the Ripper. It attracts the crowds, particularly the ghoulish crowds. Here, look at this one here. This is the regular tour guide. This is the one that Ricky Cobb runs. This one's here every day, but today there'll be loads of ad hoc tours run, probably, I'm going to say, by tour guides, most of whom we probably don't even know what they're talking about. But we're going to go and have a look and see what's going on. So it's now 7:30, things are really starting to hot up. We've had a look around, we went to Golson Street, went up Brick Lane, we went on Wentworth Street, and there's lots of different tour groups around from all the way around the world, a lot of Spanish people out. And this is, as I said earlier, the main group area where they meet, the tour group organised by a guy called Ricky Cobb, his company, with Nick Priestley, and they're meeting up here ready to go out on their tour. So there's one tour group going off. The next group over the other way is getting ready to go next. We're outside the Frying Pan Public House, which is where famously Polly Nichols was drinking virtually all day long on the day in which she was murdered, 31st of August 1888, or the day before. She was on the 30th of August when she was drinking in there. And over there is quite a large French tour group. Nick Priestley's tour group I just saw go past up, I think, towards Hanbury Street, where Annie Chapman was murdered on the 8th of September, and we'll go up there and have a quick look at it in a moment. So it's not as crowded here as it was last year.
It was, that's what I just said. Oh, so we've got the noise effects, so perfect.
Yeah, I think it's going to start.
It's a bit like the Rocky Horror Show, but no, last year I've never seen anything like it, and it's literally like night and day this year compared to last year.
There are quite a few other groups elsewhere. I think they're probably more spaced out. But,
I mean, maybe they've learned from last year, and because it was like coming out of a concert.
Yeah.
This is Hanbury Street.
Yeah, and we've caught up the French tour group. He looks a bit like Marcel Marceau over there. And there's another big tour group there and another tour group there. And over here, more or less where the French guy is where 29 Hanbury Street was, which is where Annie Chapman was murdered. There was a row of houses, more similar to the ones on this side. If you come out and have a look at the houses, it was more similar to these. They were on that side, they were demolished in the early 70s. When?
End of the 60s.
Yeah, end of the 60s, or early 70s, perhaps. And there's a row of houses. In the back garden of number 29 is where Annie Chapman was found murdered. And as I said, we've got quite a few tour groups here as well. And if we carry on, this is the route Lechmere walked. So he walked down from Bucks Row, where none of these tours go to. I'm sure none of the tours will have gone to Durwood Street. He came down Hanbury Street and continued with Robert Poole in this direction, and we're going to go and see where they split up. So Lechmere and Robert Poole walked down They passed 29 Hanbury Street on the day of the murder of Polly Nichols, 8 days before Annie Chapman was murdered. And yeah, I don't think it was ironic, I think it was incriminating, that's the word I'm looking for. And Robert Paul scarpered off down Cobbett's Court here, whereas Lechmere carried on towards his workplace at Pickford's at Broad Street, and as he did, he would have walked very close to where Mary Kelly was to be murdered, and we'll go and have a look at that now. So we're walking down Commercial Street. Over here is Spitalfields Market, which had only just been built at the time, and we're coming up towards the famous 10 Bells pub. And again, I can see tour groups going across the road there. What it is, I think, this year the tour groups are more spread out. Last year they were all in one place. This year, wherever you look, you can see tour groups around, but they're not all in one chunk. So we're outside the 10 Bells. It's quite noisy. It's always very busy in there. They don't really like people mentioning Jack the Ripper and going on about Jack the Ripper in there. Over here, which is getting very crowded now, is the famous Christchurch Spitalfields, one of the Hawksmoor churches. There must be about 50 or 60 people outside there. I think it's about 2 or 3 different tour groups. So we're in Spitalfields Market. There's a few groups here. It's raining very heavily. It started raining very heavily now. I think some groups are coming to Spitalfields Market to take shelter. But we're going over now to the crime scene where Mary Kelly was murdered. And luckily this one's also sheltered from the rain. So this is getting very busy. This is the building which is on the site of where Mary Kelly was murdered. And I just heard the tour guide identifying the wrong location for Mary Kelly's room. It was in fact over here. I don't know what they're doing over there either. It was actually in there by lift C. That's the location of Mary Kelly's room, near enough. On Miller's Court, Dorset Street used to come along here. These lines on the that they've built into the marble flooring, or whatever this flooring's made of, represent Dorset Street. It was actually more this way. They've slightly misaligned it. It was worked out. They're out by about 6 feet. It should be about here, going down this way.
So it is, for me, really spooky that when you're looking at that lift, that's literally where it was.
Yeah, and people going up and down in that lift who work in this building, probably totally unaware that when the lift is on the ground floor, at the back of the lift, they're probably standing more or less exactly where Mary Kelly was very brutally slaughtered in November 1888.
Chilling.
So I popped into the White Hart, the main Ripper pub, to get out of the rain for a moment, and I bumped into Ricky Cobb, who runs probably about the only real Jack the Ripper tour company going, almost. Pretty much, almost up.
Yeah.
How has your Halloween been, Ricky?
Oh, it's fantastic. We're here every year. I mean, this is the year that should I say, the month that every tour company in London waits for. If you run a Ripper tour, and this year has been exceptionally busy. I mean, I think after so many years here in East End, I think we are probably the only real main Ripper tour left in the area. There's lots of little small pocket ones, but
London Walks do a few, but it's a sideline for them. I think you are the only bespoke Jack the Ripper tour group. On Halloween, obviously, you get lots of odds and sods come out, don't you?
That's right, you
out
do.
the woodwork.
I remember coming here about 12 years ago, and I used to watch Donald Rumbelow. I mean, he was a great guy, and I used to watch him and go on his tours, and he had like 100 people behind him. And I think since he retired, that whole industry in that area has gone downhill.
He walked for London Walks, and I think him going caused a bit of a collapse. Unfortunately, Richard Jones isn't really operating now, and so it leaves it to the old Tower of London people aren't doing it anymore.
No, they didn't. I mean, I'm sad to see Richard go. I think Richard and I obviously were professional rivals, but I had a lot of time for him. I thought he was brilliant. And his guides were good. Well, most of his guides were good, you know?
Yeah. Lindsay was very good.
Lindsay was a brilliant guide.
John Bennett. John Bennett was very good.
I haven't heard of him.
He's
John, is he the guy who wrote the... Oh, yes, I know John Bennett, yes.
John Bennett did Cryology.
That's the one, yeah.
He's been gone for a couple of years now, which is probably why he forgot who he was.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And who's the other guy? There was Paul Hutchinson, I think it was. Yeah.
Was his name Paul Hutchinson? Or
Paul
Hutchinson, his name was anyway. I can't remember.
Maybe John Hutchinson. I think he's gone now as well.
I believe he has, yeah. But,
sad to see, yeah.
Yeah, well, things onwards and upwards. But you're doing very well. I saw Mick Priestley out earlier.
That's right.
He had a big group and a few other people doing your.
That's right.
How many groups did you have tonight?
We had seven groups out tonight.
Well,
and I'd say after Richard really retired, I've taken on a couple of his better guides. But the best ones they had was Lindsay and Angie. They were the top guides. So I've taken them on now, and I've taken other people on from London Walks and Ripping Yarns as well.
And is it premature to ask you, are you going to be arranging another conference?
I certainly am. My brother and I have been in talks about this, and we're aiming for next year to bring the official Jack the Ripper conferences back to London, obviously. It's been, it's been nearly 10 years. It's nearly the last one was in 2018.
It was in what's now the Hamilton by Hilton, isn't it?
That's right, it was.
On Osborne Street.
And that was the late great Martin Fido's last ever appearance.
Yes. So everyone's waiting for you to do this, Ricky. Your conferences were always the best ones. So everyone's waiting for that to happen. So hopefully that next year, and everyone will be able to get tickets. I'll be advertising it widely.
Absolutely, yes. And of course, you'll have to come as a speaker.
If you wish.
Absolutely. That's a deal.
Okay.
Absolutely excellent.
Well, Jamie, what do you think of tonight compared to last year?
Oh, I can't emphasise enough from one extreme to the other. It's been an utter disaster. And I'm sure everyone around Whitechapel and Spitalfields who stood here cold, soaking wet through, wet trainers, feels the same. Bit depressing, but listen, it's one night of the year and it definitely has been ruined this year.
Well, my feet are soaking wet. I just realised I was standing in a great big puddle then. And it's definitely torrential downpour, biblical proportions.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for watching on this very, very wet Halloween night. What do you think about this? What do you think of all these tours? There were still a lot of tours going. One of the key tour organisers told me he had a lot of cancellations, but it is raining very heavily. We got around most of the sites, and as I said, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. It's got the old Whitechapel sirens going off in the background. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like and comment below.